So we'll be focusing on early visual communication, which leads to the success of deaf children's literacy development and language acquisition. So acquisition could be signed this way, or this way, or this way even. So I want you to think about how we're looking at the beginning of a child's life and how it's affected with visual communication. So let me show you a few things. So I'm here because I love teaching. I love to dance. I think all life is precious, and it's about finding that spark within you and then sharing it with other people. So for interacting with deaf children, you can instill that type of love in them. And I believe that's why I've always enjoyed teaching. I have taught so far for 23 years. It amazes me to see the growth and the sparkle in their eyes when they get something. It's a priceless moment. So where are we from? Now, just always keep in the back of your minds that we are all social beings, that we are not in isolation, and that we all count, that we are all humans. Often people forget that we need love and that love is the answer to everything. It should not be something shameful or fearful or feeling judgment. Being loved makes all the difference. I think often deaf children grow up really struggling with having that sense of belonging, feeling like they're connected. And that is so vital. And once we have that sense of belonging, you have that growth of self-esteem, you feel good about yourself, you feel the part as part of the whole, and that you can navigate through life and learning your way as you go along and being able to understand something that's being said or feeling that other people can understand me, developing that sense of empathy and connection. And that feels good. I think when you can understand, it makes learning so much easier. So, movement and touch, it is crucial. And you look at this quote, and it says, flow me like a river, no force, no holding me back. That's how children can continue to grow and thrive. Time is precious. It's not something to be cast aside and ignored. You always have to remember that these people are in existence, that they are cherished, and that we want to see them grow and succeed. So, time is very important in their lives. Often, parents find that they have a deaf child and they don't know what to do at that point, and they feel a sense of disconnect because the child is not similar. And oftentimes they develop a sense of negativity and have negative emotions and thoughts running through their minds and trying to look at this child, which is a social being, and that child is a part of the parent and should be feeling that sense of bonding and connection. And then it needs to start with yourself to have that internal sense of self, letting go all of the negative thoughts, and give yourself a pep talk. Calm down and say, I'm all right. I'm going to learn about my child. I'm going to learn about what they need. I'm going to learn what they need from me, and to get this bond with this precious being. And once you free yourself of all of these negative thoughts, things will open up. You'll feel good. and you'll be able to move forward with your life and develop that relationship with this child. And that is so important. And I mean, here I am talking to you and I'm getting chicken skin. There's so many parents who have a child and never really have ever encountered a deaf person. So they don't know what to do. And parents will look to the doctors and medical professionals for the answers. And oftentimes they look at the doctors as being the one with all of the answers, as if they were God and they know everything. But in actuality, there are all kinds of people that have their own cultures, their own societies and language and norms. Their values vary. And when parents meet deaf people, there's so many wonderful deaf people around that they can meet. They can see leaders. They can see people living normal lives. I mean, I really don't like to use the word normal because there is no such a thing as normal. Some people wear glasses like me. I can't go without my glasses, and people think, well, I don't wear glasses, so I'm normal and you're not. But really, nobody's normal. So when I say quote unquote normal, maybe you could say it's somebody common or regular. You see people around you that are living, being self-sufficient and supporting themselves, doing well. They go and they vote, they have employment, a home, and they're living a healthy life. And I would love for doctors to make referrals to the parents to go and meet some of these really wonderful people and see the different ways that they can communicate with their newborn and make that connection a much better, stronger connection, to see that deaf people can live and be very fine. It's about taking a look at themselves and letting go of those negative perspectives and try to develop your own support system, meeting new people, meeting deaf people, others who work with deaf, meeting deaf children, and building your own support system and feeling a lot better and knowing that you're not alone, that there's going to be support with you all the way throughout. So, what I want to suggest when you have a deaf newborn, that eye contact is extremely important because deaf people rely so much on their eyes and what they see. We use them every day, every second of every day. And it's unlike hearing people who can rely on their hearing. Because we don't hear, it's all about our eyes. And like I said, having that sense of belonging, part of feeling that sense is to be giving eye contact, let them know you're here, have a sense of acknowledgement that we are here and we're connected. And then having joint attention, where the baby sees you looking at them, not just setting them down, walking away. Well, this kid is different, they're deaf, and creating that wall. Don't do that. They're very precious. You need to allow them to feel and see that connection. Use movement and touch and looking at the expressions on your face, whether you're smiling or frowning, having that body movement and connection, that's really important. And then when you're going into initiating movement and touch, you know, you can sign, you can maybe move a little bit more with the child, tickle them a little bit, play with their hands, or, make meaningful opportunities like playing with their feet, playing a little game, sitting them on your lap. And children love the type of rhythmic movement. And that's the kind of interaction that is so beneficial for the child. You have to always maintain that touch and connection. So we have Vicky Floyd, who generally works with me but was unable to make it today. She did share a little bit with her picture of her daughter. She's a mother of 5 children. So the woman here with the blonde hair, you can see with the glasses in the photo, She's carrying a baby, which is her fifth and last child. I love watching how she is with her baby because she has to tell her story of what she does. And with her oldest daughter, named Hannah, she would always come home and see the youngest sister pick her up and grab her and stand and dance around with her. And they would smile and play with each other. So that right there, that contact every day she comes home has become routine. And so the baby gets really excited and happy to see her sister, and they dance together. And as she grows, it's not more carrying, it's dancing, standing on the floor together. And so dancing is the same thing as signing. It's repetitive. You do it over and over and make it a routine. And that's where routines really lead to building trust and to develop that bond with another human being. And this goes back to what I said earlier, creating that sense of belonging, that, oh, you're with me, you're dancing with me, you're talking to me, you're laughing with me. And that builds tremendously in the child's self-esteem. Because, in life, we can get so busy. There's technology everywhere, social media, which is quite overwhelming. Then you have work and you have to pay your bills and all the crazy things that are part of our lives. You have to take a moment to remind yourself and say, hey, look at the child. I see you, you see me. Make that a daily connection and create a habit.
So I'm going to show you this video of this family interacting with their deaf child. So we'll just take a look. The key is that movement, which leads to learning. And often people think that learning stems from sound, and that's not always the case. There are plenty of people who are visual learners. So instead of using their ears, they work on things like repetition, rhythm, music, linguistic, um, body kinesthetic movement, naturalist, spatial, logical, interpersonal. Often when we talk about intelligence and writing papers, traditionally, uh, they work on things that have worked in the past, but in things that worked in my time and in your time, often those methods were limiting. But so there's a lot more now, a lot more information that shows us how to work with these different types of learners. And in this video, it talks about rhythm and movement and repetition. There's a woman named Layla Holcomb. yeah, Holcomb is the last name, and she came up with a series on Amazon that has various stories and things that focus on rhythm and music that are really fun to watch. They're called Hands Land. And it sounds like this, signs like this, Hands Land, Hands Land, which is a pretty cool sign for that. And so it gives you an idea of the types of chants and things that they use when they're working with rhythm. And it's really engaging for students and children. There are several examples on Hands Land, and you can find it on Amazon. Let me just pull this up. I'm not sure why I can't connect to Amazon through my Mac, but the woman who came up with this came up with Hands Land. Let me find it.
So now I want all of you to come back on camera. I want you to get a sense of this rhythm and rhyme that we've been talking about. So come on back in, join the room. So let's use our hand shapes. This is the Y. You can use it to do cow like this. You can do this for silly at the nose. For eating, you could do the Y shape for chewing your food. And you know, cows usually are quite large. So if you use the same hand shape, you know, now this should be the sign for legs, but you can make this to show that they're a very large creature and they're kind of bumbling around and falling over as if they were, you know, laying out in the grass. So watch me here. I'm going to sign it and then I want you guys to copy me after, yeah? Cow, silly, eating, walking along and falls down. Okay, you gonna come with me? Do it. Ready? Cow, silly, eating, walking along and falls over. Okay, another one. So we'll do it with the hand shape for 3. So we can do it at the chin or the forehead. So then we have walking with the same hand shape. And that's also the sign for awkward. And then we could do like this for those of us who are perhaps, you know, all in a line and trying to walk along. So you can say rooster walking awkwardly and starts marching in the line. So are we ready? We do it together? Okay, so let's do both the cow and the rooster. Okay, so we can do them both. Ready? Cow, silly, eating, walking, and falling down. Rooster, walking awkwardly in the line. All right, that wasn't hard. And this is something that if it's done with the kids, they can find it fun, they can sense the rhythm, and they can maybe, you know, move along with their bodies kind of bouncing and giving them a visual and also a sense with the body movement. So that's a really nice approach. All right, let me go back to the PowerPoint. So if you could please turn your cameras back off. So learning through a curriculum, when we're looking at the first grade, you know, oftentimes when we're looking at kindergarten and first grade, there's a lot of struggles that happen. So we have to have a lot of rhythm, we have a lot of patterns, and say counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and it going back and forth in front of the body as if teaching, you know, like skipping 1, 3, 6, 9, 12. You could do it that way. 1, and then a big jump for 3, and then 6 to the other direction, and 9, or going forward and backward and doing taking turns between 2 individuals. So 1, and then the next person 2. And so you can do in a group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and say, give a buzz and say if 7 is the buzzword, you can go along. And when the person who's 7 doesn't say 7, they have to sign buzz. And then we go another 7. And then when you get to that number, they have to say buzz rather than 14. And the kids love this game. And then in correlation with the months, you can do a dance. You know this one, right? You recognize this dance. So you can do something like this. January here, February here. You can see the video that Vicky makes to see what it looks like. So let me turn it on for you. So I'm going to explain how we can do rhythmic dancing. And so this is Vicky, by the way. She should have been presenting here with me. So I'm going to talk to you about how to do rhythmic dancing and movement, which is beneficial for all kids learning, regardless of age, when you're looking at pre-K all the way through high school. So here's an example of 3 different. While I'm counting, why not jump? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, jump, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jump. And so for every 5, so 5, 10, 15, 20, you just add a little jump. Something that simple. It could be so helpful for the students to learn 5, 10, 15, 20. And it's the same idea with, say, even numbers. 1, 2, and then you're shifting your body, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're emphasizing that on one side is all the 2s. And it goes on and on and on. So it's something just so simple, little games that kids love. Thirdly, we have the months in the year. It's choppy video, hard to read. So we can do it with a dance, the Macarena, if you're familiar with it. So what I do is I've made it to where I can do the hands, that I can spell March, April, May. Every time I move my hand, it's another month. So August, September here, October here, November here, December here, and that's all the months of the year. So when we're using it, we might do it once a week, maybe less. The students will learn all of the months in order. And say in history class, when there might be a sentence, you can use rhyme and rhythm in order to help the kids understand the meaning. One is no taxation without representation. And what do you sign on a regular basis? No taxes added if there's no electoral representation. Sure, you can use that, but sometimes it doesn't make enough sense. It doesn't stick without that rhyme and reason. So what you can do is using hand shapes to create rhythm. So for that one, I use the O, F, and 1 hand shapes. So no vote says no coin pay. And I think that does help the students to understand the concept.
So hand shapes, O, F, and 1. It's nice to be able to use ASL to apply to this type of curriculum. Movement and performance. Dancing requires you to trust yourself, trust your training, and give yourself permission to fly. So you have to build this within yourself, build your confidence, and that helps you to create those connections between the curriculum and what you're doing, and it helps you to really move forward, which is great. I mentioned confidence, trusting yourself. Confidence is so helpful when it's built from within, understanding that there are things that you can do that make you independent, helps you with teamwork, gives you a place to belong. And like I've said, that sense of belonging, I'm involved, I'm a part of something, really helps them to thrive and survive and to be resilient, not to give up, to keep moving forward. It's important to have that social support around you to help lift you up. Use your body, use your facial expression, incorporate all of that moving forward. Incorporating facial expression. Oftentimes, there's not a lot of facial expression, and in hearing culture, so to speak, they don't use facial expression a lot. They use the intonation of their voices. But using your facial expression and body movement and things like that as you move along while you're teaching and while you're learning with your students really helps you to connect better with them, and you'll have a stronger rapport in interacting with them. Without facial connection, there's a sense of disconnect, and it's hard to tell, are you with me or not? So it's worth the time to invest in working on those facial expressions and interacting so that you can see when you're on the same page, and it really engages the students. This is a preschool example. You could see in the children's eyes, they were so excited. It's amazing to see them when they're signing and their facial expression is so strong. You can just see the glimmer in their eyes. and you can see the mouth movements that really connected to the story, which shows that they're really understanding the language. And it's just a beautiful, we're probably now going to take you in a few minutes if you want to take 10 to for use at the bathroom, get a snack, then I'll see you back here in 10 minutes.
Let's see your faces again. Can you turn your cameras on, please? My guess is that you are. Very good. There might be a couple of more coming in, maybe 2 more. But I think we'll just go on and get started again. Okay, you can turn your cameras off, please. Continue with the PowerPoint. That's not what I wanted. Hold on here.
Story signing with a deaf child. I love you, Grandma. What does this say? I love you, Grandmother. The little bear. That's me, and that's you. Yes, that's me, Grandma. They're eating breakfast. That's grass. They're eating little berries. The little bear asked his grandmother, "Why do we have a big nose?" Grandmother said, "Your nose will help you find food. You can sniff to find food." The little bear said, "But I always use my eyes to find berries." Grandmother said, "Oh, did you know that not all food are easy to see? You can see some food while some are hidden. So you use your nose to find food." Look at that. Big nose. Yes, a big nose. Sometimes your nose will guide you to food. But you have to work to get food. How do you get food? By using long claws. Yes, long claws to dig. The best food are hard to get because they're so far. If you use your long tongue, you can lick the food off. If a person walks by, I can capture this person. I can capture this person who's walking by. Really? Do bears eat people? No, when a person walks by, I can secretly grab food with my tongue. The person will be puzzled and wonder who did it. You understand? I am talking about how bears get their food. That's what I mean. The food is in front of the person, and then the bear will secretly grab it, and the person will be puzzled. You understand now? Oh, that. Look at the picture. What do you see? A bee. Bee. Yes, bees. B-E-E-S. She's bringing the little bear to the field. She said, "Now use your nose to smell." The little bear sniffed hard and said, "Oh, food!" He saw a bee's nest. N-E-S-T. The nest is for bees to make honey inside. Yes, to make honey. You're right. I love honey. The little bear said, "Do you know that I love you, Grandma?" Grandma said, "Yes, I know." Grandma put her hand on the little bear's head. Story signing with a deaf child.
So notice that they have eye contact quite a bit and that the child is able to look at the book, then up at the mom, and then back at the book. And so there's a strong interaction that's happening and a conversation that happens between both. And you see there's even spelling of like the word be and then the sign. And so that type of reading and storytelling was a great example because mom shows that eye gaze. Like with the bear, she would look upwards. As she's talking about this baby bear, she would look downward and then again look upwards to show that there's, a difference in size between the characters. And the son says, "Yeah, that's like me. I'm like the little bear, and the big bear is like you, mom." And so that kind of relationship building is what I love to see because mom isn't dismissing him and taking over the story. Is giving the child the space and the time to let him make his comments and then interact with that dialogue. So this is, a very strong example of bonding.
Story signing with a deaf child.
I'm going to show you the handshapes. It's really cute. So if you see like with this or this or this, it'll give you this hand shape of a claw. And you see how he signs the sign for grape. So take a look. It's a preschool hand shape with a claw shape. Claw. I love this. The claw for clown. His movements are just so cute. And you see the fierceness in her face. Lion. Very good. I love it. Clouds. Cookie. See, another claw handshake. Bear. Same handshake. And grapes. He's just so cute because he's laughing. Grass. Yes. Another handshake. Yeah, claw for monkey. Oh, and the smile. It's so appropriate with the word and the way that they're acting out the animals. Look at this spider. Great expressions. Oh, this is so precious. I would like to show you some deaf rhythm. There's a big difference than hearing people in the rhythm because you can listen to music and the beat and instruments, but we have the use of drums, and we rely a lot on drumming because we can feel the vibrations and it gives that boom to guide us in the rhythm. Say, for example, I was a cheerleader. We always would have the rhythms of 2, 3, 2. So 2 was a little bit slower, and then 3 was faster. So watch my movement. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And sometimes students, they're looking every which way, and we're trying to get them to engage. So we try to do the clapping. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And as they're watching, they start to participate. So then it's 2, 3, 2, 3, and they'll remember, okay? So they have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And you move your mouth as well, because having the mouth movements can help make the connection that much easier for the student. And that's also included in literacy, the mouth movements, the signs, the movements of the hands, the face, all of it working together. So you say 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and the student will copy along, and they'll do 1, 2, and move along with it. And so we do have a school chant, and the school that I work here in Utah is under the Utah School for the Deaf, and we have 3 different settings. We have one in Ogden and another in Salt Lake City, and that's called Jean Masu School. So it's JMS, and that's South. And then in Springville, that's a school called Elizabeth DeLong School. So it's EDS. Here, where we are in Ogden, it's called the Kenneth Burdett School of the Deaf. So it's KBS, named after a deaf gentleman who was a teacher for about 44 years. And all of the schools have been named after deaf people, which I absolutely love. It was a great honor to deaf teachers. So here we play, and I have my students get engaged and be creative, and we come up with our own chants with KBS. And so I think my students tend to be more caring. They show compassion for other students. We encourage them to be more collaborative with other students and push teamwork and working with other people, all the things that we want best for our students in school. So the K means kindness. B, it's a handshake. Truthfully would be B as in supportive. So we are signing the B handshake for responsible. S is for, let's see, B for be responsible. S is for support. There we go. So let me show you what the chant looks like. And we're gonna do the clapping too. Give me a K, and the kids will yell K. Give me a B, they'll all sign B. Give me an S, they all sign S. And then I say, so what does a K mean? And they sign kindness. So they sign the word for kind. And then B, what does the B stand for? And they'll sign responsibility for be responsible. And then I'll say, what about the S? And they'll sign support. Spell it KBS. So we don't just do it very flat KBS. We're like, we make the circle motion KBS. So generally, when we use our name, the middle name, when you give your initial, it'll be a roundabout handshake. But truthfully, for any type of acronym like KBS, you see that circular motion. Say, for example, we do have a deaf organization called National Association of the Deaf, and we will sign NAD, not just NAD, very monotone. So we'll do it circular K, B, and S, because that's our school acronym. And so back to the chant. Dot, bop, KBS. And then we all cheer and have great fun. We let the kids practice this. And every week, a student will get up and take the lead. And when they're done, we show them a sign, KBS. And they have so much fun with this. And it's a great activity for them to work together and support each other. It's beautiful. And then sometimes we have to review with the students, what does K stand for? And they have to think and say, what kind? And then we ask, well, what does that mean? And have a discussion about that. And then we'll do the chant. And we tend to do that every Friday. And that's something you could do with your students in the classroom, at home, in the living room, even during bath time. Because I remember before when I was working at Eastern North Carolina School for the Deaf, I was like, oh, maybe 19 years old. And I had students who I was working with at the dorm, some of which were kindergarten age. And and I was working with the girls, and they would look over at the boys playing football and they weren't doing anything. So I had to be creative and I let them do some improvisation. And I can still remember to this day, more than 30 years later, I can remember the movement. I just love this. And it's not even really a sign, it's more of just a movement, but we really enjoyed this. And so we started practicing and practicing. And then we incorporated the snaps. So like here's the sunlight. And the girls loved it. And so these are little things you could do. So
Movement and relationships. Looking at each other and enhancing the confidence and feeling comfortable about using their hands and their bodies. I don't want to say hearing, talk about hearing, but just using the space around us. In teaching the children, when they're feeling comfortable with themselves, knowing that they can move their bodies, their horizon opens up and they just have a better sense. And I'm going to show you on another slide a little bit more what I'm talking about. I mean, this isn't just talking about dancing, but just in general. It's hard work. Relationships are hard work. When a couple, let's say a married couple, is together and they have a baby who is born deaf or with other disabilities, it can be very, very stressful. And you see a high percentage of issues with relationships when it comes to divorcing after a situation like that. So the good news is that is decreasing. Couples are staying together, and the children, they really need to see that their parents have a healthy relationship, that they are showing affection to each other, hugging, kissing, holding hands, holding each other, that they have a very close bond, because that affects the children and how they feel as well. It gives them comfort. It makes them feel comfortable, knowing that there's a strong bond there, that it's not something that needs to be locked away somewhere, that it's something that it's okay to show affection to their partner. And now I want to talk about having parents involved in the lives of their children. Research has shown that when parents are involved in their children's lives and there's a strong bond and a lot of communication and interaction, children really build their own sense of confidence, and they are aware that they are valued. They know that time is being invested in them. They're able to participate in sports or any type of activities where their parents are there supporting them, talking with them about activities. So they're able to ask questions and have a dialogue. Making time for those connections are so important. And research has shown that when there's a connection like that, and when there's a relationship like that between child and parents, as adults, they do very well in their own relationships. They're able to find and nurture good relationships. They have healthier relationships with people at work. They feel good about themselves. They feel confident. Without that investment from their parents, it becomes much more difficult. And oftentimes they have a sense of self-doubt, being unsure about themselves. So giving them all the support and interaction that you can really boosts their self-esteem. And some tips that I would suggest at night before bedtime, either one parent or both can get in close with their child, snuggle up with them, hold their hands, and talk about things like, what did you do today? What did you do at lunch? I'm so proud of you for this that happened. And on my second finger, I'll point and I'll say, and at dinner, I really appreciated this. And then thirdly, you cleaning your bedroom was so impressive. You did such a good job. And then on the fourth finger, the fourth thing, you took your bath by yourself and you got in bed by yourself. That was great. And the fifth thing is big hug. I was sitting thinking about you. You came over and you gave me a big hug, and I really appreciated that. And give a hug and a kiss, and that just makes them feel so good. So if you just remember to go over 5 things, one for each finger on your hand, talk about things that they did that were good, that were beneficial, and they can think about those things even in school, thinking about 5 things that they did. So taking 5 together, like I just went over, there's other ways you can do that. You can talk and interact. I'll show you another example. You can do this in the morning or evening or night or anytime when you can find the time to do it, just to sit together and take a look at what's around you. Show me name 5 different things you can see. Look at, oh, you can see a star. Yeah, okay, there's a star. What else? What's number 2? Oh, there's an eagle sitting on the branch. I notice a book over here with a woman dressed in loud colors. Yeah, oh, look over here. Oh, there's a TV. On TV, there's a movie paused on the TV. What's the 5th thing? It's a great way to develop a good dialogue, and making that dialogue routine, something that you do every single day, naming 5 things, talking about 5 things. Then you can do the next activity, which is touching 4 different textures. It could be the carpeting on the floor, it can be a jacket, it can be the cover of a book, it could be a rubber ball. You could have an item, something that feels cold. Find something that feels smooth, and just have a conversation about different textures, feel of your hair. Then you could go over 3 different smells. Oh, I smell a campfire. Oh, yeah, I love the smell of a campfire. Oh, I can smell freshly cut grass. Oh, yeah. Oh, spring is coming. It smells like spring is coming. Oh, it smells like soup is cooking. Then go over 2 different tastes. Oh, I love the taste of this food. What does that taste like? Or this is candy, or taste this vegetable, or this fruit. And then a phrase of love and understanding. It can be anything. You really inspired me today, or I saw you reading a book and that made me feel so proud. And it can be a two-way street too. You give one phrase and they might give a phrase back to you. That sense of love and understanding, gratitude, developing their skills of recognizing and showing appreciation of things that they see and things that are going on around them. That's something that they can use for their lifetime. Like, for example, my mom, she often would say things to me, like we'd be driving and she'd say, look at this tree. What a beautiful tree. And I'll say, oh yeah, that is a beautiful tree. Oh, take a look at that sunset. That's something that just makes the children appreciate the things around them and makes them feel grateful. And just taking time to recognize that is such a positive thing. And it helps them to feel positive on the inside too, keeping a positive mindset. I'll let you just read this quote. Oftentimes, there's such a filter that we're dealing with, and we want that filter in our children to open up a little so they're able to be colorful, be themselves, be proud, know that they're okay. You know, I'm just a human being and I'm fine. It's very powerful to have that sense of belonging, of existing, of being. It's just beautiful to see that come out in our children. Here's another quote. So this is an application that happens every day, that sense of realness. If you're hurting on the inside or feeling badly, or you get a cut and you're hurting, to just keep going, even though you might be suffering somewhat on the inside, dance through it and keep moving forward. If you have a fight with someone, know that life isn't always perfect. Relationships aren't always perfect. Just accept that and move forward. Continue to communicate. If you get home and can't find your car keys, don't take it out on others. Remind yourself to be a model for your kids. Say, shucks, I'm here and now I can't find my keys. I'm not sure where I put them. Be humorous in that, so that the kids will look at you and say, I'm going to be like that these little setbacks aren't a big deal. And you know what? I lifted up my book and there's my keys. Oh, silly me. And then just move on.
Switch. So this is a way we can show the kids, that you can manage things and then turn the subject around and say, hey, let's go hiking or do something outside. So it's a matter of trying to find the good. With change, you can learn new things in life. You can learn ASL, you can learn information, you can learn information about deaf education. How do you meet the deaf people? Find a deaf club and attend. Make changes, participate, roll up your sleeves and plunge into it. Just do it. Anything new, doors that open in front of you, keeping your mind and your heart open to these things and moving into them, leaning in. Don't be afraid. Change is good. People are often afraid to change. They want to stay in their comfort zone. Some people don't want to push themselves, you know, but you have your hands, your mind, your faces. It's beautiful. Dance. Dance by yourself. Be courageous. We can grow together. We are together. We collaborate. And even if you're alone, dance with yourself. Sometimes I do it. You know, my husband is deaf. I mean, he comes from a deaf family, and he's not really a fan of music. He says, that's a hearing thing. But I say, oh, fooey, I'm going to be myself and I'm going to enjoy the beat or the movement. I don't even require sound. I just move. And sometimes I'll be by myself. My husband's gone, and I'll dance with my cat and enjoy that moment. And do that in front of your children. Let them see that it's okay to open up and be themselves. I love this video. Dancing with children. I mean, and not just dance, but really just having that connection. I call it that spiritual culture where you're connecting with other people. And it's the human condition, which is so very vital in teaching about love and connectiveness. People are just so busy these days and they don't make it a priority, but that's a part of our lives. You have to love yourself. You have to teach your children to love themselves. And if you model it for your children and they can see the way that you take care of yourself and others, and they start feeling good about what they see, they're going to learn. And if they're in a positive result in what they see and what they do, they're going to want to be more successful in literacy and language acquisition, and they will pick it up much quicker. When you're thinking of metalinguistic skills, which are crucial when it comes to cognitive skills and processes, wow, we've noticed a huge difference with positive environments. And then, like I said earlier, lift, inspire, unite, work with other people, foster these children. Because when you're considering an educational environment, you need to develop good relationships with other teachers. So if the children observe teachers speaking with other teachers, they'll pick up more language. If they watch their parents converse during dinner time and have that dinner chat around the table, the children will witness this and they're going to learn what we call incidental. Again, the word is incidental. So it's the incidental learning which makes all the difference. And it improves the language and literacy skills for the children when they see everyone signing around them on a daily basis. Seeing teachers talk with teachers. You know, when growing up in a school for the deaf, there were a lot of staff that I didn't see them signing with other teachers. They used their voice, which caused me to miss what they were saying. If I were in the hallway and I see a teacher talking to the principal, but they're all using their voices, I miss out. But if they're signing, that can really affect language development and having that rich language everywhere in a visual fashion. And students who have that kind of experience leads to going to college, finding a good job. And it starts at infancy to give them all these visual exposures throughout their formative years. So watch this video. Oh my goodness, it's wonderful. It's a woman by the name of Storm Smith. I saw her in a video that she did as the Bison song, and that's for Gallaudet University, and I just fell in love with it. She's such a star, and she's a student at the college, and then later on she became really important as a motivational speaker who has traveled and involved with large networking company in Los Angeles. She did a lot of um, promotional. There was a movie called The Sound of Metal, which just came out. I think it's on Amazon, maybe. Yeah. And it's about a man who was a drummer and lost his hearing as he got older and then couldn't hear his music and really struggled with that. So the movie, I think, has gotten a lot of nominations for awards, and it's called Sound of Metal. So this woman, Storm Smith, she helped with the video and putting things together. And then she made this really special video for Gallaudet University talking about We Belong. Oh, it's an amazing video. So I want you to take a look at that. And there's dancing, and you see how the students, and now these are all Gallaudet students, and some of them were my former students. I did work in Maryland as the literacy director in Maryland. And they were little bitty kids at the time, but you'll recognize there's a blonde woman here who's also in another video on Netflix called Deaf You. That woman who's in this video, her name is Alexa Smith. She was one of my students, and wow, I watched her grow, and she's such a brilliant girl. So take a look.
When our academic advisor asked us how our semester had been going, we couldn't put it more simply. Allow me to take you back to the beginning of the semester. Home. It can mean many different things to different people. Home can mean many things for us. It is hard when you feel home in an unfamiliar space. And then I saw a sign. If only my heart would believe this, to just find the courage to take the leap. Our fear makes us run the opposite direction, and oftentimes to nowhere. It is up to me to decide how I want to do this. Then this happened.
They are deaf.
Thank you. The pen? I've learned that you can write your own chapter, your own story, your own experience. How can I sum up my experiences? I love my classes. I've made friends I know will be lifelong friends. I found my home at Gallaudet. This place is teaching me to embark on my own journey. Looking back, I do know one thing for sure. I don't know what the next few years will look like, but I know I want to be here. I belong. I belong.
I belong.
So towards the end of that video, you see how they talk about I belong. That is so powerful. You see how the woman with the dark hair who's texting her mom, her mom keeps checking up on her, and at first she's like, I don't feel like I fit in, and mom's trying to be supportive and just say, just stick it out. And then you look at the end and she tells her mom, oh, I feel like I belong. I feel good. And she's able to focus on school. And, mom's checking in and, what a change. And so clearly mom cares about her daughter. She's constantly checking in on her. And whether the mom is hearing or not, it's about that connection that comes from birth and that child always having that sense of belonging. So, for example, when it comes holiday time, sometimes you're around hearing family members and they feel disconnected. So, it's always something to remember that you always need to make sure they feel like they belong. So, find your spark, light someone's world. I want to open up the floor for any questions that you might have. One moment, please. I'm so sorry. I had to step away and cough. So I'm open for the questions if you have any. Well, it appears that there are no questions. Okay, well, I guess we can. Oh, hold on, wait, there is one. The question just arrived. Oh, okay. You see in the chat. Oh, okay, very good, very good. So do you see it says that there are children in preschool and they danced, I think, using that song Flea, I think, maybe California. So are those children hearing or deaf? They are all deaf, 100%. Yes, definitely. you got to have faith in them as learners. Don't don't doubt them. Oh yes. Oh yes. You just have to start at birth, and throughout preschool you just continue the exposure and to play with sign language and do it continually. It's really important. One second, please. Okay, any other questions? I just wanted to make a mention. Oftentimes people assume that they need to follow the English word order. Like, for example, when you're looking at the rhythm, uh, focusing on, say, the color green or the word green, you have frogs, you have sheep, you have bugs, and you're looking at facial expression. So you can do frog, green, the whole body, the head, it's strange. So you start with nouns and then a descriptor, and then frog, green, bright, weird. And I think if you sign weird over and over, it's a matter of just playing with, say, the color, the noun within the signs. You start with the topic and then you describe and elaborate on that, and the child will acquire that knowledge. And then you'll notice that with deaf children, they can make complete sentences. They're very, very capable. Okay, very good. So thank you so very much for coming to this workshop. Oh, poetry. Yes, definitely. Oh, yes, they do poems, many, many videos with ASL poetry. And so the sign for poetry, the English sign is like this, but in ASL, it's signed this way. Like I mentioned, with rhythm and hand shape and location. And there's so many beautiful poems out there and quite powerful as well. Yes, absolutely.
Jenny
This is
or Carrie, can I get someone to be on?
I can't get my video back on. I'm locked.
Oh, I'm blocked. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
you
Thanks,
turn it
Carrie.
off. Oh, there's Carrie.
We want to thank Sandy so much for her presentation and for being here today. And we also want to thank the newborn hearing screening because they really allowed us to have these 4 presenters come in from the mainland and give us so much perspective and information on our infant children. I just wanted to let you know a few things as we wrap up today. I'm going to put the evaluation link in the description box. I'm also going to share my screen just for a second because I want to show you a few of the upcoming workshops that we do have. So let me present this. Okay, so the evaluation link is in the chat box, and then anyone who has evaluation to date will be entered to win one of 3 copies of the Fostering Joy journals, and that was the first workshop that we had. So if your name is selected, then we will be contacting you to get a mailing address. The Comprehensive Service Center has an Ohana program, and this is in part because of our collaboration with the newborn hearing screening. But a lot of the resources that Sandy talked about today are things that we do here and that we have here at the center. So it was so important for her to share that information with us. We have a lending library here. So we have books and videos that are for both families and for professionals. So a lot of our books are signed in our children's section. A lot of book, you can open them up and there's a QR code and you can scan that, and then the book is in sign language. We also have professional materials that talk about working and teaching children who are deaf. And there's also a section on sign language. So if you are interested in learning sign language, we have a bunch of books and videos on that as well. We are digitizing this library soon, so you'll be able to borrow them online. Until then, it's old school where you come down and you take it out, but you can hold on to these items for 2 weeks. If you're on a neighbor island, we will mail it out to you and send you prepaid postage to send it back as well. We also have some upcoming programs and workshops. So we have our shared reading program. Sandy showed an excellent video of a woman reading to a child and in sign language and going through the 15 principles of reading to deaf children based on the shared reading project that came out of Clare Center. We in Hawaii, we tweaked that a little bit to be called Read to Your Deaf Keiki, because we use not only their, but we also have local authors and their books that we've created videos for, so that those could be read aloud as well. We also have a workshop coming up called Guide Time ASL. We are going to include all of our dads and uncles and cousins and brothers and nephews and any man in your child's life who would like to get together. Guy stuff, I guess. But it'll be an opportunity for the men to get together and to learn signs and to work with their children. We also have an ASL class that's coming up and an ASL and music class as well. So look out for all of those things. In the evaluation form, one of the questions is if you would like to receive information from the CSE, then please give us your email address and I will be emailing you out these flyers and workshop information and any resources that have come out of these workshops. And then lastly, we have at 1 o'clock today, if you are interested in joining us on Facebook Live, we have first-time author Linda Lambert, who wrote a book called Lovely Hula Hands about her life and her experience growing up as a deaf woman here in Hawaii. And I think that this is a fabulous opportunity to showcase one of our leaders and dear friends, Linda. So please feel free to join us on Facebook Live at 1 o'clock. And that is all I have. Let me close this. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Sandy. We are, of course, thrilled. Like I said, Sandy came for her practicum way back in 2000 and actually observed my science class, and we have been best friends ever since. So I am very, very proud to have been able to share Sandy with all of you. And we look forward to more presentations by her and the other presenters, because they have all agreed to come back and do more workshops for us. So we're very much looking forward to that as well. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend and we'll see you later. Bye. Thank you for coming back on camera, guys.